What would you do if the person your daughter trusted the most turned out to be the very one who took her life? 17-year-old Zion Foster vanished into the cold January 2022 night after visiting someone she affectionately called her favorite cousin. It was a routine visit, harmless, normal, but what followed was anything but. Before we begin, our hearts go out to the family of Zion Foster, especially her mother, Sierra Milton, whose strength and unwavering fight for the truth reminds us why these stories must be told. Zion's voice was silenced, but her memory will not be. This is the story of Zion Foster, a teenager with her whole life ahead of her, whose disappearance led to shocking revelations about deception, obsession, and betrayal from within her own family. As her mother fought desperately for answers, she found herself staring down the unimaginable, that the person responsible had been welcomed into their home, embraced at family dinners, and trusted beyond doubt. Welcome to True Crime Diaries. This isn't just a missing persons case. It's a story of manipulation, buried truths, and the fight for justice in the face of betrayal. As you watch, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more gripping true crime stories. Stay with us as we unfold the tragic, twisted tale of how love and trust were weaponized in one of the most disturbing missing persons cases in recent Michigan history. Zion Foster was just 17 years old, a high school senior with dreams as wide as the sky. She was smart, strong-willed, and had just celebrated her birthday a few months earlier. She worked at the Detroit Wing Company and was known for her kindness and wit. Her relationship with her mother, Sierra Milton, was like many others, loving but sometimes tense. Zion had gone through rebellious phases. She had run away before, but she always came back. On January 4th, 2022, she clocked out of her evening shift and went home. She told her mum that she was heading out again, this time to visit her cousin, Jaylen Brazier. Sierra didn't object. Zion had done this before. Jaylen was someone the family trusted. Her favorite cousin, she'd said many times. So Sierra watched her daughter walk out the door, never imagining it would be the last time. Hours later, Zion's boyfriend, Bertez Gonzalez, grew worried. He hadn't heard from her. The last text he received from Zion came at 12:59 a.m. It read simply, OMW, which means on my way. But she never came home. Sierra woke to find Zion's bed still made. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail. No response to texts. Sierra called Jaylen. That's when everything changed. Jaylen claimed he hadn't seen or spoken to Zion in years. It was a gut punch. But Sierra didn't buy it. Why would Zion lie about something so basic? And why now, of all times? Sierra knew her daughter. She knew Jaylen. Her instincts screamed that something was wrong. Bertez wasn't convinced either. He had taken a screenshot of Zion's location that night using her phone's GPS sharing. The pin dropped across the street from Jaylen's house at 11:24 p.m. When confronted, Jaylen sent over video footage from his Ring camera system, claiming Zion was never there. But it didn't add up. When Sierra went to the East Point Police Department to report her daughter missing, officers didn't act quickly. They saw Zion's history, teenage runaways, minor family drama, and labeled her as a runaway.
Now specifically said to us that, I'm going to be honest with you, we're taking this as she's a runaway.
Sierra was furious. She knew this wasn't just another incident. She started her own search. Flyers, interviews, neighborhood canvassing. She refused to wait. And soon, everything began to unravel. A neighbor had surveillance footage. It showed Jaylen's white sedan pulling into his driveway at 11:15 p.m. Two people exited the vehicle, a man and a woman. Jaylen had dropped his girlfriend off at work that night at 11 p.m. She was on the midnight shift. So who was the other person? Phone tracking data and camera footage confirmed it. Zion Foster was the second person. She had walked into Jaylen's house that night, but she was never seen walking out. At 1:41 a.m., Jaylen backed his car into the driveway, trunk facing the backyard. He left for a short time and returned minutes later. Cadaver dogs later reacted strongly to the scent in Jaylen's car trunk. By now, Sierra's worst fears were coming true.
What's up? Mr. Brazier?
Yes, sir.
What's your name, ma'am? Okay. You guys know Zion?
Yes.
So,
I was like, but she was never here. I don't know. But anyway, I have cameras to show her that she was never here.
Diaries, Panama 31, PPAB 1935.
Started working, we came back, went to the gas. Just basically showing this girl was never in my house. So
we believe you, man.
and she's known to be a runaway. Like she's ran like 4 times, and every time she got some dude's house. Her mom knows this. Her mom's just playing it a certain way and it's making me so fucking uncomfortable.
She's known to be a runaway?
Yes, I would assume you guys would know that. Not saying like you're not doing your job, just assume she would tell you the damn information.
No, we know. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night.
He hadn't seen or been in contact with her for 3 years, which is impossible when you were in my driveway and gave me a hug.
On January 19th, Jaylen voluntarily walked into a police station, accompanied by a friend who was a lawyer. He told detectives that yes, Zion had come over. They smoked marijuana, and she suddenly passed out. Her head tilted back, as if she had fallen asleep. When he checked on her later, he claimed she had no pulse. He panicked.
You guys mix up your weed, you roll up, you guys start smoking, you're just watching TV, just chilling?
Yeah, she's telling me about how her mom, their relationship's a lot better than was the last time she talked to us. And about her boyfriend, about prom, the job and everything, and how she's working on getting an apartment and everything.
That's all of a sudden she just blanks out right there?
When I got up to go get me something to drink,
Yeah.
I came back and she was saying she was tired and everything, and she laid her head back. So, okay, I'm let you go to sleep for a bit, whatever.
Okay.
And then about 15 to 20 minutes after that, I was like, okay, are you good? You ready to go home? And she wasn't responding or any of that.
Was her plan to go back home? Start shaking her. She doesn't wake up. You check her pulse, you said, and you can see she's not breathing, not like that. So at that point, what are you doing?
Freaking out.
Okay, so you're freaking out, and this whole time you've been home.
At that point in time, we thought she was definitely dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, was she dead? Do you think she was dead at that point, or does she still just have pain breathing and
It wasn't anything.
there was nothing at that point?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You know the difference between dead and alive, right?
I mean,
Was she
not
dead?
breathing. She wasn't breathing, so I assumed that was dead. Her heartbeat was like, I couldn't read a heartbeat, couldn't feel a heartbeat or anything. So I would say she was dead, definitely.
Okay.
I want to have you show us the dumpster, okay? Because I don't want to mistake it, and I want to obviously get out there and see if she's still there, then we need to recover her, and if not, then we need to do the steps to locate where she's at. Okay? You're okay with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Didn't call 911, didn't tell her family. Instead, he put her body in the trunk of his car and dumped it in a Highland Park dumpster. No one has seen her since.
Yes. It was already open. Yes. Yes. Yes.
right by it, right in front of it.
I'm sorry.
I said right in front of it.
Did you back into it or did you pull forward? So you were side by side? Okay.
He threw her in a dumpster. Like she was trash.
Jaylen later changed his story. Again. Now he claimed they had taken acid together, and that caused her death. That too was a lie.
Like psychedelics and acid, and
Okay.
I think that's what killed her.
Do you?
Yes.
Did you have like a freaking momentary, like, didn't know what you were doing moment?
No. She also she took a time herself.
But let me ask you this. The problem with those drugs are, when you're on them, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, that's the reason people take them, right? Did you do something when you were, because again, I'm trying to figure this out, and that would make complete sense. When you dropped acid, did you have, I'm not saying it's okay, but...
No, I was completely comforted. Completely. I just think, I don't know if the effect for her was positive or, because I know it does a lot in your brain and like with your...
Yeah, it does a lot. I'm going to tell you right now, it makes sense to me now. It all makes sense to me. You understand that, right? Because I'm sitting here trying to figure out how this nice young guy, Jay, could ever hurt anybody. But it makes sense to me now. It's not you. That's not Jay at that point. You understand that, right? If you did something under the influence, that I need to know that, because that's a big difference, and I can understand that. That I can appreciate.
Despite Jaylen's admission that he dumped Zion's body in a Highland Park dumpster, authorities were stuck. Without a confession to murder, without a body, and with no direct physical evidence, prosecutors could not yet charge him with homicide. So instead, Jaylen Brazier was arrested and charged with lying to police, a felony offense.
To take approximately 2 weeks, but we're doing what's right for the right reasons, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to bring some degree of closure. Will never be complete closure, but some degree of closure and justice to this family.
In court, he pled guilty. At sentencing, Jaylen spoke of regret. He claimed he panicked, that he never meant to mislead anyone, but the damage had already been done.
I did turn myself in. Yes, I lied, but I was not in the right state of mind. There was no way for me to prepare for a situation like that. I was scared. I don't know exactly how she passed, what caused her to pass. I just know 1 minute she was cool, she was fine, she laid back for a minute. Next thing I know, she was dead. I don't know what caused it. I did not cause it or anything like that. I reacted stupidly off of fear and panic like I've never felt before in my life. Literally.
You think she dies and then you dispose of the body? Just like that? That was your choice?
Did not know what to do. I sat for at least 10 minutes sitting there. Like, what do I do? Who do I call? My kids are upstairs. We just got into this place after struggling for like 2 years to get it, and everything is falling down.
Stop it. I won't have any conversation in this book.
And I wish I could take it back. I would have called the ambulance, called her mom, because her mom is so sweet. Her mom is so sweet. And I just know. I wish I could take it back. Nobody would be in the situation. At the very least, they'd be able to be like, okay, this happened, confirm this. And everybody has some sort of peace right now, you know? But
in March 2022, he was sentenced to 23 months in prison. Yet, he would serve less than a year. By early 2023, Jaylen was out. He'd been released through a 90-day military-style boot camp program, an alternative incarceration initiative meant for rehabilitation. He returned home, back to his family, back to normal life. But Zion's mother, Sierra Milton, never stopped pushing, never stopped speaking to media, never stopped demanding justice, and her persistence paid off.
What? I can admit to this and still be let free.
Do you think Jaylen's story was ever the truth? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe Zion deserves justice, hit that like button and subscribe so more people see her story. In June 2023, after more digital evidence was retrieved, including cloud-stored phone searches and new testimony, Jaylen Brazier was arrested again, this time for second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. Jaylen was eventually arrested and charged with second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. He had reset his phone 2 days after Zion's disappearance, but thanks to cloud storage, police recovered his search history. Do garbage trucks have compactors? How do police track phone history? What's the pressure of a garbage truck compactor? They also discovered disturbing pornography searches with terms like cousin and step-cousin. Over 4,000 messages were recovered between Jaylen and Zion from her old phone. They showed grooming behavior, coercion, flattery, isolation. He offered to let her hide in his basement if she ran away. He made sexual comments, bragged about manipulating women. He told her they could be a couple if no one knew. It was clear Jaylen had been fantasizing about Zion for a long time. He didn't testify in court. The prosecution called 32 witnesses. Medical records showed Zion had no seizure condition, contradicting Jaylen's latest story. In just 30 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict.
Now, there are only two people who can say exactly what happened inside of the house that night. One of them is Zion, and she is gone. The other is the defendant, and you will hear that nearly every time he spoke about what happened, his story changed. And although he got rid of Zion's body, you will see that he left behind a trail of digital evidence that is damning and will show you that the circumstances all lead to one and only one explanation for why Zion left his house in the trunk of his car that night, and that's because he murdered her.
He also had a history of seizures and taking seizure medications. Now, on this particular day, she came over to Jaylen's house. They were smoking. Jaylen told the police after some time that she had shallow breathing and a faint heartbeat. He checked her to see if she was alive, and she was dead. He then feared, because he was doing drugs, which is still federally illegal, that he could be blamed for something, and he panicked.
To his house late at night on January 4th of 2022, behind the back of his pregnant girlfriend, who was at work at the time. He brought Zion over to his house late that night, and she leaves that house in the trunk of his car on a night where he has an unexplained gash on his collarbone. What do you think happened inside that house that night? She died of COVID? She died of a seizure? There's a claim that he did all this. He did what he did because he was afraid of getting caught for marijuana. Afraid of getting busted for pot. You can use your common sense. If you go to a marijuana dispensary, there's not going to be a team of ATF agents waiting to bust you and take you to federal prison for that. It's about the equivalent of a parking ticket. You ever heard of somebody getting rid of a body to avoid a parking ticket?
Cortez himself said Zion told him specifically she had a history of seizures. The question was asked, were you concerned when you saw this? No, I was not concerned because I knew of a history of seizures she told me about and that she was on medication for it. And his understanding is that if she did not take the medication, the seizures would be that much.
Sierra Milton and the rest of Zion's family.
Consistencies that, again, hopefully, you know, the end point of this is that they will see those inconsistencies, see through the lies, and see the truth. That he murdered my daughter and he disposed of her with absolute disregard for her life.
Guilty. Jaylen Brazier was sentenced to 30 to 90 years for the murder of Zion Foster and another 5 to 10 years for evidence tampering, served consecutively. Judge Donald Knapp stated, "You showed no remorse. You lied to police, to your family, and you acted alone. The betrayal is beyond words." Over 70 volunteers searched a landfill for 6 months. Nothing. Jaylen, she just stopped breathing. Sierra, that's a lie. I know my daughter, and I know what you did. Judge Knapp, you were her cousin, her protector. Instead, you became her predator. Zion Foster's story is not just about a crime. It's about trust, family, the unimaginable pain of betrayal.
I know that the picture's already painted, of course, and so she gets it. Having it in her head, it is what it is. But Zion was not in any way violent. He wasn't hurt at all. I never said that I never wanted to apologize, but I never tried to apologize. That's not true. What I said is I know that my apologies were nothing because you can't change her. But what I did.
It's red. And it was just so matter of fact. I was so happy they saw. She was loved. She is loved. She was fought for. And this is the result. So I'm happy. I'm happy that in the end, this is justice.
When you thought you were smart, you tried to be slick. The people saw you for what you are. You ain't. And I hope you never get out.
Her mother, Sierra, is still fighting for answers, for justice, for closure, and until Zion's remains are found, justice isn't finished. Zion Foster's name deserves to be remembered, not for how she was lost, but for who she was, bright, brave, and loved, always. What would you say to Zion's mother if you had the chance? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that demand to be heard.